I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. Again, continue 2 Corinthians. We are down to our last two chapters. This will be chapter 11. What we've been reading most recently was a defense of Paul. Paul is establishing his ministry and what he has done. In the last chapter, chapter 10, he gives his foolish boasting, where he lists all the privations and all the trials he has been through since he has joined the ministry. Now, up to this point, though, most of this epistle has been commending and encouraging the Corinthian saints as they seem to have been straightening themselves out. So, let us read 2 Corinthians chapter 12. In this video, we have a Joseph Smith translation. Now, what the Joseph Smith translation is, this is a translation or correction done by Joseph Smith to restore those passages that have been lost or corrupted over the years. Made a mistake earlier. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord. I know a man in Christ about 14 years ago, whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell. God knoweth. Such an one caught up to the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body I cannot tell, God knoweth. How that he was caught up into paradise, and heard unspeakable words which is not lawful for a man to utter. Of such an one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in mine infirmities. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in mine infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, and distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. I am become a fool in glorying. Ye have compelled me, for I ought to have been commended of you. For in nothing am I behind the very chiefest apostles, though I be nothing. Truly the signs of an apostle were wrought among you in all patience, in signs and wonders and mighty deeds. For what is it wherein ye were inferior to other churches, except it be that I myself was not burdensome to you? Forgive me this wrong. Behold, the third time I am ready to come to you, and I will not be burdensome to you. For I seek not yours, but you. For the children ought not to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children. And I will very gladly spend and be spent for you. Though the more abundantly I love you, the less I be loved. But be it so, I did not burden you. Nevertheless, being crafty, I caught you with guile. Did I make a gain of you by any of them whom I sent unto you? I desired Titus, and with him I sent a brother. Did Titus make a gain of you? Walked we not in the same spirit? Walked we not in the same steps? Again, think ye that we excuse ourselves unto you? We speak before God and Christ, but we do all things, dearly beloved, for your edifying. For I fear, lest when I come, I shall not find you such as I would, and that I shall be found unto you such as ye would not. Lest there be debates, envyings, wraths, strifes, backbitings, whisperings, swellings, tumults, and lest when I come again my God will humble me among you, and that I shall bewail many which have sinned already, and have not repented of the uncleanness and fornication and lasciviousness which they have committed. Paul takes pleasure in infirmities and persecutions. See, Paul in the last chapter acknowledged that his boasting was a foolish thing, and here he's saying, I shouldn't have done it, but the accusations being levied against me by some people in Corinth has driven me to this foolishness. I don't glory in myself. Yes, I am equal to any apostle. I don't glory in myself, though. Who I will glory in is this one guy I knew who had a vision of the celestial kingdom, the third heaven. Now, a lot of Christians We'll tell you, oh, this comes out of Jewish tradition where the first heaven is the sky, the second heaven is outer space, and the third heaven is where God lives. No, the three heavens are the telestial, the terrestrial, and the celestial glories. So when he saw a man caught up, he knew a man caught up to the third heaven. I suspect that he's talking about Peter, but we don't know. He doesn't name the man. He may even be talking about himself in the third person because he doesn't want to glory. He glories in the vision that he had, but he doesn't want to assign the glory to himself, so he's not stating that it was him. This is a very much a possibility there, that he was caught up in a vision of the celestial glory. We know that Joseph Smith and not Oliver Cowdery, but I can't remember his name now, but the two of them had their vision of the 3 degrees of glory in section 76, where they saw each degree. And Paul here is telling us that at least one person saw this vision. If it wasn't Paul himself, I think it was most likely Peter. But these are the things that Paul glories in. The revelations, the visions of God, the things of eternity. He doesn't glory in what he has done, only in as far as it brings people to the eternities, to heaven, to salvation. That's what he glories in. And that's the basic message of this chapter. Glory in the things of God. And if you can receive revelation, if you can receive visions, glory in those things. But don't glory in yourself. Those things are from God. So glory in God. Now the last thing in here he mentions about his third visit to Corinth. Remember, he went there initially on his second missionary journey through Greece, and he taught them. He came back from Ephesus. He took a short excursion over to Corinth. Now he is going back through Greece, heading for Corinth. And Titus, he has sent Titus ahead. But he's saying, this whole thing is, I really hope that all the reports I got from Titus are true, so that when I get there we can just glory in God together, and I won't have to be censuring anybody for their wickedness. Hopefully those things have already been done away with. Titus has told me that you are making great progress, and hopefully when I get there I won't have to say anything about it, but we can just glory in God together. Anyway, there is one very brief Joseph Smith translation here. This is in verse 6. So in verse 6 in the King James it said, "For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me." So in the King James, this would indicate that he's only, he tells the truth. He doesn't want to be the fool, but he's laying out the truth of his ministry. But he's going to forbear now. He's not going to say any more on it, because his actions and the reputation that he has should be sufficient for anybody to understand who he is. That's what we're getting in the King James. In the Joseph Smith translation, I think this is just made a little bit simpler. So it now reads, "For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth of me, or he heareth of me." So basically the same thing, just simplified, and it's now, you see what I do, you hear what other people tell you they have seen me do. Judge me by that. Don't judge me by my own words, because I'm speaking foolishly, and I'm going to stop. Even though I'm only telling the truth, my words don't mean anything. It is what people have seen me do that will establish my character. I leave that here, and we pick this up in chapter 13 next, and I will finish out Corinthians. So I will see you there.